So you're keeping it as a pet? Not for food? Ren Xiaosu was puzzled. What a waste. This is good meat. The world of the rich is beyond your understanding, Old Wang chuckled. It is said that hundreds of years ago, the wealthy used to play with hawks. But now, hawks are too large and too dangerous, so they have turned to sparrows. Look how fierce these sparrows look, the rich like this kind of thing. Ren Xiaosu thought for a while, realizing that at a time when most people were still struggling to get enough food, there were already people keeping sparrows as pets. However, it's more expensive for live ones, Ren Xiaosu said. These creatures can scratch someone to death if you're not careful. It's too dangerous. At this moment, Ren Xiaosu wondered, the refugees outside were contaminated, so were these sparrows not contaminated? Or was it that the refuge barriers only needed these refugees to work for them, and this wall naturally divided the classes? Fortune favors the bold, Old Wang said with a smile. You can keep a sparrow all night, which shows that you are not ordinary. If you can catch a live one, maybe you won't have to do anything for half a year. Have you ever thought about saving some money to get married or something? Marry what? Ren Xiaosu said irritably. Old Wang pretended to be mysterious. Old Li's daughter from next door is in school with your brother Lu Yuan. She's a proper girl. By your logic, I should sell this sparrow directly to Old Li, right? Do I need your introduction? Ren Xiaosu turned to ask Yen Luyuan, is Old Li's daughter your classmate? Yes, Yen Luyuan nodded, she is quite sturdy. Go away, go play, Old Wang said annoyedly, forget what I said, good intentions are wasted. Seeing that Ren Xiaosu and Yen Luyuan were about to start a comedy routine, Old Wang decisively intervened. He changed the topic and said, remember, if you can catch a live one next time, be sure to come to me. Alright, Ren Xiaosu nodded. Actually, although catching a live one was dangerous, it was not impossible. He looked into the grocery store. How much for a cotton-padded jacket? The cotton-padded jackets are new, 500 each. You know the price, I got them for 490, I don't make money from the jackets, Old Wang said, less people freeze to death, the better. You're quite kind-hearted, Ren Xiaosu said casually, get one, see what size Luyuan wears. Brother, you should also buy one, Yen Luyuan quickly said. Adults are talking, children should not interrupt, Ren Xiaosu frowned, I'm not cold. Money is a good thing. The consortia controlling the various refuge barriers issue currency to ensure the circulation of materials. It's convenient, but without money, it's difficult to move. The winter here is very cold, but the money has to be saved for emergencies. There is still more than a month before winter. If he can catch another sparrow, Ren Xiaosu thinks it's not too late to buy a cotton-padded jacket then. The key is, it's time for Yen Luyuan to pay his tuition, which is paid once a month. Ren Xiaosu took another look at the grocery store, his gaze suddenly stopping on the counter behind Old Wang. How much for antibiotics? You want to buy medicine? It was only then that Old Wang noticed the bandage on Ren Xiaosu's hand was stained with blood. You're injured? You have to buy some medicine, or else if it gets infected, it could be life-threatening. How much is it? Ren Xiaosu said impatiently, 210 each. Old Wang said, antibiotics must be taken for 3 days in a row. I'll sell you 3 for 620, and give you an iodine wipe for free. I only have 10 left here. Ren Xiaosu thought for a moment and said, round off the change. If you mean to round off the 0 in 620, then shut up, Old Wang said in annoyance. Reluctantly, Ren Xiaosu withdrew his gaze. Forget it, I won't buy it. It usually doesn't get infected in winter. He turned and took Yen Luyuan to school. On the way, they passed a bakery, and Ren Xiaosu went in to buy a long black bread. This black bread was mixed with something unknown, and it scratched his throat painfully when he swallowed. Yen Luyuan chewed on the black bread and said, brother, why don't you pay the tuition and go to class too? You want to go to school so much. I have to go hunting, Ren Xiaosu said. I heard what Old Wang just said, there are quite a few affluent female students in your school, right? You must not fall in love early. I heard that people used to get married at 13 or 14, Yen Luyuan retorted, although he hadn't thought about these things between men and women. But arguing with Ren Xiaosu was actually quite joyful. Finding joy in adversity is probably one of the strongest abilities of human beings. Ren Xiaosu pretended to slap Yen Luyuan on the back of his head. Can it be the same as before? You are still young, if you fall in love now, they will be someone else's wives in the future. When he said this, Ren Xiaosu smacked his lips. Someone else's wife, sounds kind of exciting. What are you talking about, brother? I don't understand. Yen Luyuan blinked and said. Go, stop pretending with me, Ren Xiaosu said irritably. The school is the cleanest and most orderly place in the entire town, and the only place with its own courtyard. Walking in from the outside, you can see the neat rows of onions, garlic sprouts, potatoes, cabbages. Originally, Ren Xiaosu thought that a place like a school should plant some bamboo or something, but after all, food is hard to find these days, and it's a blessing to have a place to grow vegetables. So Ren Xiaosu's Previous wish was for Yan Luyuan to grow up and become a teacher, not because he respected teachers so much, but because he thought teachers were safe and could have their own yard to grow vegetables, and no one would steal them. What a wonderful thing that would be. Generally speaking, Ren Xiaosu's wishes are always simple. Yan Luyuan went in to attend class with his tuition, and Ren Xiaosu squatted on the wall outside, listening to the reading inside. He couldn't afford the tuition, so he could only eavesdrop like this. Sometimes the teacher would tell the students how glorious human civilization used to be. To be honest, the teacher himself hadn't seen that era, and what he was talking about now was just some hearsay. If it was passed on like this, it might be wrong, although it's not very reliable. Ren Xiaosu is fascinated by it. Sometimes Ren Xiaosu would take the knowledge and questions he didn't understand or hear clearly to Yan Luyuan, which made Yan Luyuan very troubled, because if he couldn't answer, it meant he hadn't listened carefully. So when Ren Xiaosu was eavesdropping, Yan Luyuan listened to the class very carefully. For some reason, Yan Luyuan admitted that his brother looked quite handsome when he was studying hard. No wonder little Jade was so infatuated with him. In the classroom, the teacher held a book and looked at some of the sleeping students with a melancholy expression. Then he looked out the window at Ren Xiaosu on the wall and said to Yan Luyuan, "Tell your brother that he can come into the yard to listen in the future." "Okay." Yan Luyuan beamed.